As you know, we bought a Honda Civic Type R, which was delivered to us in the previous episode. We also started taking the car apart to get an idea of which parts we need. Now that we know which parts we roughly need, we checked with Honda's warehouse to find out what all the costs are. And it turned out to be a shockingly high amount, so high that we can kind of understand why this Honda Civic was declared a total economic loss. A crucial part that we didn't even ask the Honda dealer about is a subframe. A subframe that costs no less than 1,350 euros excluding value added tax at the dealer. We managed to get it from England for just 600 euros, including import costs and shipping. Well, that's about a third of the price. We really made a huge profit from that. We also ordered a control arm that hasn't arrived yet. At the dealer, it cost 950 euros before value added tax. And we managed to get this one for 310 euros. Now that we have this part, we can start with even more disassembly work on our Honda. As you know, our subframe is badly bent. To continue with the rest of the parts, we actually want to know first how our subframe fits and what we need to modify for that. If it turns out that our chassis is bent this much, then of course we're not going to place a big order to repair this car. I hope it's not too bad. For one, we're not ordering all the parts from the Honda dealer. Although we are going to go over the prices from the quote we received from them in a moment. Such a high amount that I kind of understand why this car was declared an economic total loss here. The subframe we received is from a car with around 30,000 kilometers. And that's why it's in much better condition than ours. Especially now because ours is bent. But you can also see that we actually have quite a lot of rust. And this one doesn't. So we're making a bit of progress. We're going to put the car on the lift. And then we're going to loosen it from underneath. And then we're going to check all the points on our bodywork. How it's attached. Now that we've loosened our steering rod and our stabilizer bar, we're obviously going to do this on the other side as well. That way we can lower our subframe in a moment. We've disassembled the subframe. It's officially on the ground now. And what a job this was, guys. Unbelievable. I don't know how much work the company put in to weld that part that broke on the subframe, because take a look. As you can see, they've welded his support frame here and a subframe there. But to get to everything here, you have to completely disassemble it. And that was quite a bit of work. We left the steering rack in place. We're going to take it off now. Personally, we think we used the wrong order for disassembly, because for reassembly, I think we're going to put the steering rack on the subframe first, and then put everything back in as one piece. But first we need to create some space, because we need to fit our new subframe. And the way this all looks right now, it's all crunchy. Look at this. Mounting the subframe will be tough, and this part is still angled downward as shown here. There's a little bend here, so this definitely needs to go up towards the front. That's going to be quite a job. I'm curious to see how bent the car is, and whether it can actually be repaired. We're going to disassemble the steering rack now, and then install a new subframe, and from there I'll update you again. I don't know what's next, but this is getting intense and making me nervous.
There it is, guys.
We still had a little issue. We thought maybe that drive shaft part could be mounted on the steering box in a different way, which would actually make your steering wheel not line up straight with your steering box anymore. But of course, Honda came up with a clever solution for that. They also drew a line, so that means the company where we bought the car also had all of this taken apart. To get all of this done, well, I can tell you it's quite a lot of work. We quickly noticed the right side rubber parts are broken as well. We'll replace them.
But then we're also going to replace the ones on the left right away.
Both of them. Then we'll put the subframe back into the car together with the steering rack. But of course, we're first going to check if the subframe fits, the new subframe. Because if that doesn't work, then you'll have to pull really hard on the car. And yeah, then you're kind of out of luck.
Okay, so this is the exciting moment.
Because if the holes don't line up with the chassis of the car, then that means, well, it's not gonna fit in one go anyway, we know that.
No, I know that.
Because the front right side is pretty bent anyway.
Yeah, so this one is crooked anyway.
But how are the other three going to fit, right? That's the big question. Okay, let's start with the good news. That's that the geometry of the car hasn't changed. In other words, the 3 points where the subframe is attached are good. So it hasn't changed there. Only on the right front side. That's where it took the most impact. That's bent, right?
That's really massively bent.
Well, yeah, because that's what I'm saying. Those 3 bolts, they really went in well. So that one, and that one, they just went in well. Only the front right one doesn't go in. Because, yeah, that one's really far back.
Yeah, you can see that in everything.
Like I just said, there's a bend here. Here you see a bend. You can also see here that this one just isn't straight anymore. It's folded here, and you can see this entire part has changed. Yes, we're going to try to fix all of this ourselves. I already have an idea, just by looking at this, of how I want to approach it. However, I do think we need to replace all those little things because they're bent so far. And if an RDW inspector walks underneath, it just has to look as original as possible. I don't think hammering on it will ever make it look like that again. So what's really important for now is that basically all the dents need to be pulled out.
And that once everything is back in place, that bolt can go back in as well.
Then we'll replace that part and rebuild it again. Because just like this too. You'll never be able to restore this so that it looks original again. We'd be better off ordering all those parts separately from the dealer and welding them back in, just like we did with the FJ Cruiser. I think that's the right game plan. On the other hand, I already have an idea in mind. How I'm going to fabricate a tool now to secure it to the lift again with those tie-down straps. To try to pull out that dent, we knew it was going to be a challenge. So far it's worked out well, but for now I'm going to fabricate a tool myself. So we can pull on this, and that's what we're going to do now. Let's go.
From the scrap pile.
We've now reached a point where the damage is actually kind of destroying itself.
Look, underneath there, it's just starting to crack.
And that means that the impact it has had is now greater behind the damage than in front.
And that's why he's now trying to break himself free.
It's already much further forward than it was just now. We've already moved forward by 2 centimeters. And in terms of height, let's see, is it already straight?
No, not quite yet.
That side actually still needs to go up a little bit. It's a new day here, and I'm on my way to the Honda dealer in Amsterdam. Because as you know, we got a really hefty quote to fix that car. We're going to go over that with you in a moment, but before we do that, we're first going to pick up our new chassis parts at the Honda dealer. Because they're ready and they weren't even on the quote yet. I'm excited to see those parts. And then we can also make an estimate in the workshop later on about how much work it will be to replace them. We've already fixed a lot, but much of it just isn't possible. You'll need to grind some parts to remove more. If all goes well, Daniel will be there. See you there. This is a success, guys. The first parts for the Honda. As you can see, a lot of chassis parts, massive suspension damage. We've received excellent help and service here at Nijkerk in Amsterdam. Thanks, guys. We've got the stuff, we're heading to the workshop, and we'll fix the Honda. Let's go. We're back, guys, in our workshop with the new chassis parts. Look at this, we've laid out the parts, so you can get an idea of what we're going to replace. As you can see, we're replacing nearly everything on the right front side. This lower part, the radiator support, we're obviously going to replace that as well. And besides that, we've decided to order as many subframe bolts as possible, the bolts for the control arms. Because we don't know if they got bent during the accident, we're going to replace them just to be sure. And the small triangular covers on the back of the subframe are completely bent on ours. Our car has a WOK notification, so we want to restore it as best as possible. The inspector also sees that it has been done professionally, that no corners were cut, and that it will definitely pass the inspection. The parts lying here cost no less than 800 euros. These 800 euros. That wasn't included in the quote I first requested at the Honda dealer. We have a different quote here. Don't be shocked, guys. 16,151 euros just for the parts alone. These are parts without a subframe of 1,350 euros, excluding value-added tax, and a control arm that costs an extra 900 euros, plus value-added tax just for the front right. You can imagine that all these parts together are so expensive that such a car simply becomes an economic total loss. Such a car has a market value of 31,000 euros, and if you also, let's say, we don't even have everything yet, because we still have an order with the Honda dealer for 1,600 euros, so a front bumper, things like that. Just imagine, we almost need 20,000 euros worth of parts if you order everything from the dealer. They've been kind enough to give us a 15% discount on parts, so that's really nice. Nijkerk in Amsterdam Southeast is the place to be. The staff were knowledgeable, friendly and helpful, always thinking with us. So thank you for that, guys. We're super hyped to fix this thing. As you can see, it's still pretty crumpled here. We're still missing one tray. It's also not on the quote yet, but that's the tray where the subframe gets screwed on. We'll use our recently used subframe as the reference for the front right. We're going to rebuild everything from here. Are you as excited as we are? We've never done this before. So do you know how this works? Let us know in the comments what we should start with, whether we should begin with our subframe or with our chassis beams. We don't know, maybe you do, so let us know in the comments. We've already found many parts online, including on eBay, marketplaces and parts lines. And of course that will be deducted from the 16,000 euros we have listed on the quote here. Look guys, it's really written here. 16,151.35 including value added tax. Honda was very kind to give us that quote. With all the item numbers, there are so many companies. I don't want to mention other brands now, but they do things like that. So as a customer, you actually don't see those part numbers. And what's nice is that everything is selected based on the chassis number, so the fit is 100%. The part has to fit this car, and that's why we're extremely happy with the part numbers, because from here we can start looking for the new parts. We're excited. We've made great progress with the front end. Nice pun on making progress with the front end. But we've been pulling on it. Part of the dent has already been pulled out, but we can't pull on it anymore now. Using our tension strap and tools, it won't move anymore. So the next steps will be, of course, to level the whole car. Check the damage, see how far it has sunk down. And from there, we'll decide what we're going to cut loose. We know for sure that we're going to replace these parts, and of course a few chassis parts that will be arriving here in the next few days. Because, yeah, this just has to be as close to original as possible. It's a really important part, because this is where your subframe gets attached. And you can't cut corners on that, because then the car just becomes dangerous. Lastly, just to give you an idea, I want to show you how the parts arrive. As you can see, you just order this part like this. We're pretty happy with it, because at first we thought that every little plate would be delivered separately, and that we would have to spot weld everything together ourselves. But fortunately, that's not the case. Once we've loosened the front, we can actually start jacking up a bit, raising the right front since it's much lower than the left. We knew this was going to be a challenge, but we didn't know it was going to be this much of a challenge. We knew suspension damage can be really complicated, and for us, this probably is.
It may not be for those who do this often, but it's our first time, making it very educational. If you've made it this far in the episode, don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. That really helps our algorithm.
Give us a thumbs up and let us know in the comments what you would do, how you would do it. That would definitely be appreciated. You'll see us next time in a new episode where we're just gonna use an angle grinder. Are you curious? Check us out. Ciao.